So I've done the Russell T Davies years. Now time for the Moffat years. Best episode of the Moffat years. Totally from Series 5 through to Series 10. From Series 5, while it's not one of my favourites, the episode that I always see people talking about as one of the best of Series 5 is Vincent and the Doctor. And while it's not one of my favourites, I can see why people love it. I mean, it takes an ultimately unfortunate story of a tragic artist and and shows that sometimes time wants to happen, and while you think you might making a big change in someone's life, something that'll convince them to continue, ultimately time doesn't want that to happen. But in the end, the small difference that you did make is actually bigger than you realised. And yeah, the end when they go and discover no new paintings in the gallery, but uh, one of his famous paintings is actually signed specially for her. That I feel is a very touching moment, and I think why most people actually love this episode. I mean, Tony Curran's great in this episode, but yeah, it's not one of my favourites, but I can definitely see why people love it, and so I want to argue that it's one of the best of that series. For Series 6, the episode that I always see people talking about is The Doctor's Wife. I personally have got the other Neil Gaiman written episode in my top 10 personal favourites, Nightmare in Silver, but I can, once again, it's not necessarily one of my favourites, but I can see why people love The Doctor's Wife. We've known the Doctor and we've known the TARDIS for so long, and yet to finally actually give the TARDIS a body and a female persona, kind of the way she acts with it, it's a really good episode. I mean, just like, I think you call me sexy. Only when we're alone. We are alone. Well, come on then, sexy. Yeah, that personally for me is funny. And even at the end, when she has to go, we still see he still does have that bond between the two of them. And I think it is a very touching episode. Once again, it's not one of my favourites, but I can see why people love it. Anyway, with Series 7 Part 1, the episode that frankly I have to class as one of the best is The Angels Take Manhattan. This, for me, was another episode where I cried. I mean, I cried with other companion exits, such as in Doomsday and Journey's End, and I even cried a little bit in Face the Raven, but yeah, I remember crying at this bit, just seeing, and her final words being, "Raggedy Man, goodbye." That was touching. I mean, with the Weeping Angels as the villain, this time they're back to full sinister strength. Like, with their first episode back in Series 3, they were really scary. Then, with their roles in kind of Series 5 and Series 6, they kind of waned a little bit. They weren't used in the best possible way, but here they were terrifying. Even having the Statue of Liberty as a giant weaving angel, that is genius. And I feel it was a very nice episode for Karen Gill and Arthur Darvill to bow out. Which is kind of ironic, seeing as how Arthur Darvill is now doing a time travel show. Anyway, for Series 7 Part 2, while I did kind of consider the name of the Doctor to be the best, upon further reflection, the one that I think I've seen most people argue as the best is The Rings of Akhaten, which for me is a little bit odd, because if you look at the story as a whole, the story is not actually that remarkable, but then I think the reason why people do class it as one of the best is the Doctor's speech kind of towards the end of the episode, when he's literally facing down a planet-sized god. I mean, I'll leave a clip down below if you want to go and see his full kind of speech to it. But yeah, just, of course he's scared, he's terrified, but then people just start singing to kind of be able to give him courage. And in the end, I do feel, yeah, I kind of agree with people on that. It is one of those great episodes. Yeah, a great one of Series 7 Part 2. For Series 8, I've seen quite a few ones parked around, but I think for me the best one was the first part of the finale, Dark Water. I mean, yeah, having the Cybermen return, Cybermen was kind of a given. They're an old hat monster by now, but yeah, I mean they've got a kind of reference to the classic second Doctor adventure, The Invasion, with them coming down the steps in front of St Paul's Cathedral, and then the reveal at the end of who Missy was. That for me, I've spoken about it before, but yeah, I wasn't expecting that, and to me that was a truly scary moment of just, oh boy, we're fucked. Yeah, that that for me is a great moment. Once again, I'll leave a clip down below, but I think my reaction was the same as the Doctor's was in this episode. Just a moment of confusion, like, what? And then followed by slow, blind horror. For Series 9, as you know, my personal favourite from Series 9, but the best one that I've heard from various people about the best episode is the first part of the finale, Heaven Sent. This is quite a unique episode because I think in the entire episode there are only actually about 4 characters who appear. The Doctor, Clara appears well throughout. Then there's the old kind of faceless person who's following him around, who smells like who has flies, and then the small child whom when he gets back home, he tells him, "Yeah, go and tell them I've come back." It's quite a unique episode as the entire plot entire premise settles kind of around the Doctor. Like he's kind of the only character you really see throughout most of it, and just kind of seeing the kind of intricate trappings of the castle structure that he's found himself in, and even the kind of story he tells towards the end, with the mountain made of pure diamond and the bird that comes and sharpens its beak. That I feel that's quite a nice metaphor for a situation of him constantly trying to get out and him taking a very long time. So yeah, I do see why people regard this as a great one. I mean, it's essentially a long Shakespearean dialogue with Peter Capaldi, and I think it's done very well. But finally, the episode that I've chosen from Series 10 that I think is the best is, personally, World Enough and Time. I mean, honestly, I don't know what more I can say. I mean, when I heard that they were going to be bringing back the Mondasian Cybermen, I was hesitant. And when I heard they were bringing John Sim back as well as the Master, I thought, well, they can't really do that. They can't really make that work. But they did. I mean, you can find other YouTubers that kind of say similar things about the Mondasian Cybermen, but yeah, they were brought back and they were done really creepily. I mean, even them being in constant pain, but the nurse just turning down the volume. That's both really heartbreaking and really sinister. Even at the end, when Bill becomes a Mondasian Cyberman, yeah, you can see it coming from a mile off, but yeah, it's still slightly creepy, slightly unnerving. And then John Sim's Master just comes out at the very end. I mean, throughout the entire episode, I know other people may have seen through his disguise, but throughout the entire time, I didn't really realise until the last minute that it was actually John Sim. And I was like, oh man. And while I'm hesitant about his role in the actual finale, The Doctor Falls, I feel this was a really good setup. Even the kind of the different levels move at kind of different speeds. Like the bottom level of the ship is going faster than the top of the ship. For me, it just works. So, yeah, that's what I think about it. Anyway, those are I think the best episodes from series 5 through 10, and yeah, if you have a different suggestion, leave it down below. Yeah, so yeah.